What's happening? This is like the question corner.
And talking about neighbours now, I mean, obviously the people we work with are our neighbours as well. And some of them get these very difficult personalities and so on. So what kind of advice can you give us in that kind of situation?
Absolutely. So, yeah, gosh, people, eh? Oh boy, people. You know, people ask me, what's it like working in a psychiatric hospital? And I say, patients are fine, the doctors, oh my God. and that's the fact of it. Look, whether it is in family, you know, whether it is in, whether it's family, whether it's work, there's always going to be people that rub you up the wrong way. There's always going to be difficult souls, right? So one piece of advice to remember, of course, is that you're not in traffic, you are traffic. All right? What do I mean by that? I mean, you know, when you sit there and you think, oh, there's so much traffic. There's so much traffic. Why are so many people, you know, on the road today? You're one of those people on the road. You're contributing to traffic as well. Relationships are strange because they are dyadic, right? And sometimes you will encounter people who do the wrong things, right? You will encounter people who think that they're right about everything. You will encounter rude people, right? And those things are sometimes the most difficult aspects of our lives. Yeah. When I talk to people about their awrad, I have a whole category which is relationships. Actually, because you know, and then you think about your spouse, your children, your parents, your siblings, and then out and out and out. Think about those relationships. Think about what is happening in those relationships. This is often where we fall down, right? If we didn't have to deal with anyone, we'd be great. We'd be the best people in the world, but we have to deal with people. How do you do so? So the first thing is to recognize that we are mud creatures, ultimately. Right? We are made from earth. One of my teachers once said to me, if you experience good character coming from somebody, you should be delighted and like blown away. Because that person, to manifest that good quality, has overcome the literal substance from which they were made. They have overcome their humanness and brought forth a spiritual quality. Okay? So don't have excessively high and unreasonable expectations of people. People are flawed. People are weak. If you're going to expect people to behave all the time, you are just going to be disappointed. Step one, therefore, is don't overestimate people. You'd be surprised how often you do this. All right? I say to people sometimes, you know, I go into a test expecting to get 10 out of 10. I've studied everything, I know everything. I'm expecting to get 10 out of 10, I get 9 out of 10. You've not studied at all, right? And you're going in, you're expecting to get 2 out of 10, and you get 6 out of 10. Who did better? Me. Who's happier? You. Happiness is about the deficit between expectation and reality. Or I should say unhappiness is the deficit between expectation and reality. Okay? So that's step one. Step two, realize that you are people. So all those things that you said about someone else applies just the same to you. Applies just the same to you. Step three is protect yourself. Protect yourself. The thing that you dislike about the other person is not the person themselves. It is their action, and it is the attribute from which it has arisen. Okay? It is greed, selfishness, spite, anger, malice, jealousy, etc., etc. These things, O physicians, are the diseases of the soul. These are the diseases of the soul. And how should you approach them? Like a physician. I tell doctors here, I tell muggles this. I tell normal people this. Alright? Treat other people like you are a doctor treating a patient. Recognize that this person has certain diseases and those diseases manifest as symptoms. And sometimes those symptoms will bring out diseases in you. Right? Because sometimes, a lot of the times, we're immunocompromised. Yeah? You've got to, controversial word alert, vaccinate yourself. You've got to inoculate yourself. You've got to protect yourself first. Okay? The first way you protect yourself against other people is just by being, but forewarned is forearmed. You're going to, especially when it's people you deal with all the time, you kind of know what to expect now, right? I mean, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Right? That's the first thing. The second thing is realize, don't personalize it. Realize that the thing that you detest is a character trait, a disease that person has. Yeah? You encounter somebody who has open wounds with pus oozing out of them. Man, that person's going to stink to high heaven. Right? Are you going to hate that person? Or are you going to hate the illness that has afflicted that person and pity that person and want to help them in whatever way you can, whilst not yourself becoming infected with the disease? Right? Put on your PPE. You're dealing with people with diseases, put on your PPE. Right? Protect yourself against the consequences, but also protect them from you. Protect them from you. Then you deal with the person in a way that is, so the Sharia, the rule of Sharia here is you deal with a person with the minimum fairness and justice that you need to do. You give them their right. You do not need to go any further than that. Right? If a person is actively harmful to you, I get this question as a psychiatrist, I get this question a lot. My father abused me as a child, sexually abused me as a child. Right? And my religion says I have to honour my father. How do I do that? How do I do that? Right? I mean, we're talking about minor irritations here, but this, on this side, an utterly catastrophic event in early childhood. What do you do about this? What happened there? What do you do about this? What do you do in this scenario? Yeah? Can I step back? Yes. Yes. Yes, if the person is traumatizing you, yes, of course you can. Because you have a right to yourself, to protect yourself. It doesn't matter who it's against. You have a right to protect yourself. You step back in order to heal, in order to strengthen yourself, in order to, at some point in the future, re-engage again. And I bring up here the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he says that it is not fitting that a believer refuse to greet or return the salam of another believer for more than 3 days. Right? So 3 days, someone makes salam to you and you ignore them for more than 3 days, this is not right. Right? Okay. What about 2 days? What about 2 days? Can you ignore someone ostracizing for 2 days? Yeah. The Prophet said 3 days. He didn't say 2 days. He said 3 days. Yeah, you can. You can. This is prophetic permission to separate yourself temporarily from somebody who you are angry with, you are upset with. Why? Because you're angry. Because if you try to re-engage when you're angry, the situation is going to get worse. It's going to get 10 times worse. So give yourself the time to heal before you re-engage again. But you do need to re-engage. You cannot cut somebody off forever and just say, I just don't want to speak to that person anymore. The purpose of that isolation, is to heal, is to rebuild your defenses, is so that you are no longer immunocompromised when you re-engage with that person again. And the Prophet ﷺ realizes that we are just human beings, and we need to do that. So if you are upset with somebody, step one, zip your mouth. Right? Nothing good ever comes out of your mouth when you are angry. You may, and it doesn't matter whether you are spouting a verse of Quran. I mean, can you imagine me being angry? Can you imagine I got angry? Yeah? I'd be like, قال الله تعالى قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. I bring the whole fury of the Sharia down on you. When I got angry, if I opened my mouth when I was angry, what would I be doing then? I would be using the religion of God as a bullet for my gun. It's a bullet for my gun. Yeah? Don't use God's religion as a bullet for your gun. Don't use the gifts that God has given you to wrong someone else. Because the way that you will wrong someone else, the way that most of us wrong other people is by believing we are right. Right? I am right. We're all heroes of our own story. Yeah? Don't forget that you can be the villain of somebody else's. Okay? So, there's a lot in this. Okay? But lower your expectations of people. Prepare in advance. Do muhasabah of yourself. Assess yourself and how you are responding. That thing I just said now, assess yourself and see how you're responding. I kid you not, I have delivered hour-long lectures just about that bit. What do you learn about yourself in your interactions with others? Right? Hassan al-Basri was asked, great figure in early Islam, he was asked, how did you learn good character? And he said, I learned good character from bad people. I learned good character from bad people. He said, what do you mean? He said, when people manifested bad character towards me, I felt swak. He didn't say swak. But he meant swak, right? I felt swak, right? There's no good English word for that, right? You know, I felt really bad. And that horrible feeling inside me when that person was angry, manifested jealousy, or whatever towards me, taught me that thing that they had manifested towards me is a bad thing. Because it makes you feel horrible inside. So I then undertook to never make anyone feel that way by manifesting that quality back at them. What we often do, we're like the ball bounces off. Yeah? I should say the paddle court, right? This is South Africa now, right? The paddle, we like the paddle court, right? Yeah? The ball bounces off the wall and you give it even more force. Yeah? And that's how these relationship problems, you asked a psychiatrist this question, sorry. But this is how problems just spiral and go from molehills to mountains. Right? Last thing I'll say about this, relationships. Understand the game you are playing when you are engaged in an interaction with somebody else. Right? Because there is a game. And this is a game, and the game has rules, and there's a way to win and a way to lose. When you are in an interaction with somebody, you are having a debate with somebody, a discussion with somebody, an argument, whatever it happens to be, right? The aim of that interaction is not to be right. You don't win the game by being right. You don't win the game by convincing the other person that you are right. Any type of emotional interaction with somebody is, imagine two sides of a triangle. Imagine like a mountain. You're on this side, they are on this side. You win this game by going up the mountain. As you go up the mountain, you get closer to Allah and closer to each other. Allah, in that interaction, is seeking to pull you up the mountain. Closer to Allah, closer to each other. Shaitan, each of the shaitans within you, is seeking to drag you down the mountain. Further from God, further away from each other. You win an interaction with somebody else if you end the interaction closer to one another than when you started it. You lose the interaction if you end up further away from each other than from when you started. And you are not playing against that person, you are playing against the shaitan inside you. That is your opponent in this game. Understand the game. Understand why Allah puts you in that situation. to demonstrate to you why you are. It's not about what that person is doing. لها ما كسبت ولكم ما كسبتم. The answer on the day of judgment to why did you say this to that person is, but he said this to me. No, that's not right. I'll ask him about that. I'm asking you why you said what you said. So every interaction is an opportunity to draw near to Allah, to learn something about yourself, about the vulnerabilities that you have, that your shaitan will seek to take advantage of, and to learn from the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about how to overcome them. I'll finish that sort of long chat, inshallah.